So we're back at the Bellagio, getting ready to jump into a session early Saturday morning. I think it's the second weekend of March Madness. And while I'd like to say we're going to kill it today, and I hope we do kill it today, March has not been kind to your boy. So what we're going to do is try to play well, and let's see if we can make some things happen. Man, March has sucked. Let's just say that.
Late March, early Saturday, and I arrive at the Bellagio about 5 minutes before the start of the first 5-10 game of the day. I buy in for $2,000. That extra 5K chip you see there, well, you always hear these horror stories about winning players that go on downswings. And if you're like me, you always think, psh, couldn't be me. Then in a month's time, you run a flopped full house with pocket aces on ace king king into quads. You run your nut flush into a straight flush. You get 2 outered holding trips. You lose all the flips. Oh, and don't forget that time you ran it twice with ace king versus pocket threes, flop trips on both boards, and lose both boards, etc., etc. Then your thoughts turn to, is this ever going to end? March hasn't been the kindest month at all, so, that 5K is backup. Let's hope that chip doesn't come into play. For now, it stays in my pocket. What I'm looking for today isn't a huge win, although that would be nice. But what I'm really looking for is a confidence boost because mine is in the toilet. Y'all wanted honesty, you're getting it. So here we go. My first button is also the first hand I play. 10-9 offsuit in action is folded to me. Easy enough. I open for $30 and the only action I get is from the big blind. Queen of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 9 of hearts. The big blind checks. It's still very early in the session and I don't know the player in the big blind, but if I assume he raises with queens and tens and maybe, and this is a big maybe, king jack suited preflop, then I worry a bit less about him having those hands. He still retains the offsuit varieties though, but all that being said, his check is giving, I'm not interested in this flop vibes. I size up a bit with a pot-sized bet and he folds before my chips even stop moving. Okay, good start. Nothing huge, but getting the needle moving into the positive direction. So I mentioned that I didn't know the player in the 4 seat. Well, I didn't know the player to my immediate left either, but very quickly figure out that he's one of those types of players that likes to move all in at a moment's notice. The game isn't 15 minutes old and he's already been all in 3 times. I guess that's just his move? 20 minutes later, a bomb pot is underway. The bottom board, the one closer to the dealer, reads 9 of clubs, king of spades, 7 of clubs. And the top board reads 5 of diamonds, 10 of spades, 9 of diamonds. Action has checked to him in the hijack and he bets $140. The cutoff raises to $300 and the under the gun player calls the $300. The hijack now pulls his move and moves all in for $2,160.
I'm all in. All in.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you. I'm gonna need it. I have nothing. I have nothing. I have zero. I don't have a single thing.
The cutoff thinks about this for a little bit and calls, covering the hijack.
Good call.
The under the gun player snap calls, covering both.
I need help.
Yeah,
I need help.
they need help.
I need help. At the bottom. I lose.
I got your.
Ouch.
Ace high clubs on the bottom, set a pair of kings on the top. Yeah, you're gonna chop. These two are gonna chop everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I freaking overplayed that.
Well, so much for this guy to my immediate left and his move.
What's that?
You getting all this on tape?
You haven't done anything yet but suck out on this guy. You haven't done anything yet but suck out on this guy.
Well, doesn't that count?
My favorite part when he goes, I think I might have overplayed my like it took everything in me just to shut my mouth. I think I might have overplayed my hand.
So, back to my action. I find myself in the low jack with pocket jacks. Open to $30 and the cutoff comes along. Action is now on the button, an Italian pro, and he raises to $140. Had this hand happened a couple of hours later in the session, I would have 4-bet here. But at this early point in the goings on, I wasn't yet aware of how aggressive this Italian player was. I call the 140 and the cutoff exits. King of clubs, 7 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds. I check and he c-bets for $130, a pretty standard size on this board. I call the c-bet. The turn 9 of clubs puts 2 flush draws on the board. I check again. He continues putting on the pressure, this time in the form of $450. I called the flop to see if he would continue on the turn. He's continued on the turn in a big way. True, he could just have something like ace queen of diamonds or 5-6 of clubs. I mean, it's possible. The problem is I have no clear path to victory with my hand. Calling the flop was ambitious. Calling the turn and playing another round of chicken on the river doesn't excite me. I just let this one go. The entire table was playing relatively tight, me included, but in my defense, I really didn't have many hands to play at this point about an hour into the session. However, here, the cutoff opens to $40, and I look down at King-Jack offsuit on the button. All 3 options are basically open to me with this hand, but due to the overall tightness of the table and his larger opening size, I land on call. The big blind gets in there too. 7 of spades, 8 of spades, 10 of hearts. This flop gets checked through. The 6 of hearts hits the turn and the big blind and cutoff both check again. It's highly unlikely that both players would check twice with 2 pair plus in their hands, and I don't have much myself, but I decide to take a shot at it. If I can get ace highs and small pocket pairs to fold, that'd be a big win. And if not, I still have some escape equity if I catch a 9 or maybe even a pair on the river. I slide $60 into the pot and both opponents fold. So far, so good. This one begins with the under the gun 2 player opening the $30 and me 3-betting from the hijack to $100, holding the legit version of ace king. The button cold calls, which probably caps his range at something like pocket 10s. The original opening player also calls, so 3 of us head to a flop of king of clubs, jack of clubs, 9 of spades. Oh boy. The under the gun 2 player checks and I continue for about 3rd pot. Both the button and the early position player call again. Do I feel invincible on this flop? No. But I think I have the best hand and would really like to fade a queen, a 10, or a club. The turn is the 4 of diamonds. It should change nothing. The player first to act checks again. I load up and bet $220 this time. And after a long tank, the button has had enough. He folds. The under the gun 2 player elects to see one more card and he calls the $220. The river brings a card value that I like, but a card suit that I hate. It's the ace of clubs. The front door flush just got there, and now the under the gun 2 player donks for $400. I'm not fully immersed in the blender, but I'm not in love with this spot. I quickly go through the permutations of hands this particular player could have and take this line with. Of those hands, some are bluffs, some are flushes, few are straights or sets. I would have heard from those earlier. This villain being a Bobby's Room regular probably means he isn't shy about bluffing for big numbers in a 5-10 game. Plus, it's also possible that we just have the same hand. Either way, the likelihood that I'm losing is middling, and although I'm not at the top of my range here, I'm pretty high. I call.
Colin, two pair of Jackson 9s, two pair of Ace of Kings.
Thank you, sir.
Who's calling for what?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'm on the way like a road trip. On my way to the top, no, I won't slip. I see them, they just barely put toes in. Why would I give you the light? You get frozen. Never faking or acting opposing. Can I lead if you act off emotion? Dedicated and mentally focused. Guaranteed I shoot my shot, it'll go in. Heard you say that I'm cocky, not confident. Said the person who lacking accomplishments. My name up on the board equal dominance. Eating, but still got a lot to get. We on the way and it's obvious. They see me from afar, no binoculars. I be peeping the pressure barometer. Gotta put on for the town, know they proud of us. We on the way, yeah, we on the way. You better wake up, 'cause we here to stay. We on the way, yeah, we on the way. Get ready, we bringing the squad in. We on the way, yeah, we on the way, yeah. Yeah, we on the way. You better wake up, you better wake up, 'cause we here to stay. We on the way, yeah, we on the way, yeah. Yeah, we on the way. We on the way. We on the We on the way, yeah. Hey, keep talking, we making it happen. All that I spit is heat, I'm a dragon. Not performing till I know the back end. We getting it cracking like chaplets. The music gon' make them do backflips. Got me out on the beach with an actress. How you gon' win if you keep being passive? If I want it, best believe I'ma have it. No rabbit, they taking my carrots now. They gave me the game, I'ma wear it out. Tire pressure, I'ma air it out. Walk in the building and tear it down. I be tripping out the Paris now. You got me tripping out in Paris now. Louboutins every pair now. We the ones they should fear now. We on the way, yeah. We on the way. You better wake up, 'cause we here to stay. We on the way, yeah. We on the way. Get ready, we bringing the squad in. We on the way, yeah. We on the way, yeah. Yeah, we on the way. You better wake up, you better wake up, 'cause we here to stay. We on the way, yeah. We on the way, yeah. Yeah, we on the way. We on the way. Yeah, we on the way. We on the way, yeah. We on the way, yeah. Yeah, we on the way. You better wake up, you better wake up, 'cause we here to stay. We on the way, yeah. We on the way, yeah. Yeah, we on the way. We on the way. We on the way. We on the way.
The session was going well. No real big fumbles in spots that mattered. I wasn't card dead, so I was picking up my fair share of hands. However, it seemed as if I couldn't really gain any traction because a solid portion of the hands that I played just went nowhere. They weren't played badly or anything, they just became nothing. This sometimes happens, and it's really hard to avoid it happening, especially when you're looking down at small or middling pocket pairs a lot and basically get flopped dead. It is what it is. Knowing where you are, population tendencies, and how these two things interact are super important. Here I open from under the gun to $20 and the player next to act raises to $70. This hand in this configuration isn't necessarily an automatic call, but versus this player, I find it. 10 of spades, 9 of diamonds, 6 of diamonds. Well, hello there. I check, the under the gun 2 player continues for $70, and I have an internal debate on my check raise size. I settle on $220 and toss that out into the middle. This sizing was probably a mistake. In this configuration with a board this wet, I probably should have gone much larger. Our villain doesn't take long with the decision at all. He calls. Now what I'd like to see is a nice, disconnected, innocuous card. Like, I don't know, a 3 of clubs. But what the dealer turns instead is the Jack of diamonds. The polar opposite of my wishes. I check. Our opponent thinks about this for a while and then bets $450. This is not good. I'm dead. None of the early position 3-betting hands would do this with a hand that I could still beat. Aces, kings, non-flushed ace-king, ace-queen, they aren't doing this. Diamonds would do this. Straights would do this. Sets, but having a set here is hard. I have a little hand funeral before I toss it into the muck.
Big one. Woo!
The under the gun 2 player then shows me King, Queen of diamonds. Well, that tracks. Man, this session, I had a lot of playable hands that went nowhere. So looking down at pocket 5s on the button, with an open and a call in front of me, I envisioned this would just be another one of them. I call the $30 under the gun open, and then the small blind squeezes to $200. The original opener folds, the under the gun 2 player calls, and I'm pretty fed up with all the squeezing. I randomize this call based on the leftmost card being red. I call. King of hearts, 5 of diamonds, deuce of hearts. Well, what do you know? The small blind continues for another $200, which sees the under the gun 2 player quickly fold. If I'm ahead, which isn't a guarantee, but if I'm ahead, I don't want to dissuade the small blind from continuing betting at this pot. So I just call the $200. The turn brings a 6 of diamonds and the small blind shuts it down. Check. I can't check this back and just hope he bets the river. That doesn't work for me. So I take the betting lead with a $400 bet. Now the small blind goes into the tank for a bit, and when he comes out of it, I see his cards flying towards the muck. The under the gun player here opens to $30, and although the under the gun player is super tight, I like the potential in my King 9 of clubs. I call. The big blind tosses in an additional $20, and the 3 of us head to the flop. 3 of hearts, 8 of clubs, 5 of clubs. I expect the action to get checked to the under the gun player, whom, at a very high frequency, just has aces. But that doesn't happen. Instead, the big blind donks this flop for $60 and the under the gun player folds. What is that? Why are you donking this flop? I'm a bit confused, but I'm not folding. I call the $60. The turn brings me top pair when the king of spades appears and the big blind continues with his newly found betting lead for $150. What? I assume at this point that maybe he has a set, or two pair, or maybe a flush draw. Most likely not an ace-high flush draw because those like to check and realize equity, not bet and potentially get raised and have to fold. I called the $150 with my pair and draw, and then binked the river 4 of clubs. He doesn't slow down though, as he now throws $200 into the pot. I'm not calling, as I've already internally established that the nut flush probably isn't in his hand. But I do want to get looked up by sets and straights that can't bring themselves to fold, so I basically just min-raise him. $450. Well, whatever he had didn't make him curious enough to call the clickback. He folds. By the time the session is starting to wrap up, I'm starting to get a handle on our overly aggressive Italian pro in the 5 seat. Here he's open to $30 and I defend from the big blind with ace-5 offsuit. 7 of spades, 3 of hearts, 5 of spades. I check, he continues for $40. Unbeknownst to him and his 55% VPIP, I've made a pair. I'm not folding now. It's just not happening. He's just going to have to show me a better hand. See ya on the river. When the 7 of hearts appears on the turn and I check and he continues for $70, I'm pretty confident that I'm ahead. After getting called on the flop, he should think that a good portion of my range has a 7 in it. So imagine if he had aces. Would he bet the turn when another 7 hits? So what kind of hand bets the turn that doesn't have a 7? I'll tell you. The kind of hand that doesn't care if he gets check raised and has to fold. The kind of nothing hand that doesn't really care about going to showdown. Something like king-queen offsuit, jack-10 offsuit, pocket deuces, stuff like that. Or he could just have a 7, I'm getting ready to lose this pot, and everything I'm saying is just overthought, bumbling nonsense. I'm not going to lie though, I didn't like the 4 of spades river. Too many things get there with that river. I'm not saying I'll fold if he bets again. I don't know, maybe, probably. It doesn't end up coming to that though, as my check sees him tank and check it back. I pull this one in. Tricky river.
So out of here with the W that we came to get, and for 2K, out for that, a little bit more than 2K. Nothing magical, nothing life-changing, but a win is a win. And it's the first session of the day. So it's around 1:30 in the afternoon. We're going to go home, change clothes, work out, and then more than likely, we'll be back for another session. So if you like the vlog, leave me a comment. I'll probably respond. Probably. And I'll catch you then. Bye. Saturday evening, we have returned to the Bellagio. Got a workout in. Got a session in earlier today. Ended. Okay. But since it's Saturday night, let's hope the action is increased. Let's hope we actually pick up some hands that are worth discussing. Let's just hope for a lot of things. Let's go.
So I arrived back at the Bellagio with hopes of mixing it up, playing some good poker, and putting in a decently length session. Unfortunately, the poker gods didn't seem to share my same hopes. I had zero, quite literally zero playable hands for the 60 minutes I was at the must-move game. Then I got moved to a main game where every player tanked like they were three-handed for a main event bracelet, and hands took way too long. So then I transferred to another table, and that one had funeral vibes. Everyone was just so, I don't know, depressed or something. In the midst of the 90 minutes I was there, my card distribution was garbage. I was fighting just to keep my VPIP above 5%. It was really bad. So I just cut out early.
So we cut that session incredibly short. When I got here, my table was trash, but it was a must move. So then they moved me, and that table was trash. So then I transferred to another table, and it wasn't all that either. Not to mention, I was basically card dead for the first, I don't know, hour and a half, like literally nothing to play. So I think I left down $50. We're going to get into something else on a Saturday night here in Vegas. And maybe I'll return in the morning. Who knows? But I will say this. If you like the vlog, leave me a comment, subscribe, and I will catch you very soon.